You might think that Satan, the great enemy of our souls, fears mighty angels or powerful miracles. But what if I told you that the devil is actually most afraid of ordinary people like you and me? It's true, there's a hidden power that regular folks can tap into that makes Satan shake in his boots. Today, we're going to uncover this secret and show you how to become someone the enemy truly fears. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. What do you see? Just your reflection, right? But in the spiritual world, there's a mirror that shows much more than your outward appearance. This mirror reflects what's deep inside your heart and mind. And here's the kicker: Satan is terrified of people who understand how this spiritual mirror works. You see, just like a regular mirror shows exactly what's in front of it, our spiritual life reflects what's inside us. If we're full of doubt, fear, and negativity, that's what shows up in our lives. But if we're filled with faith, love, and courage, that's what we see around us. Satan knows that once we figure this out, we become much harder to deceive or control. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to always be fighting the same battles? They keep struggling with the same problems, the same temptations, the same setbacks. It's like they're stuck in a loop. That's because they haven't realized that the key to change isn't out there somewhere, it's inside them. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If we don't change on the inside, nothing on the outside will ever really change. This is a fundamental truth that Satan doesn't want you to know. Why? Because once you understand this, you hold the key to real, lasting victory in your spiritual life. Let's break it down. Say you're dealing with a bad habit or a persistent problem in your life. You might try all sorts of external solutions, new routines, self-help books, even seeking advice from others. And sure, these things can help. But if you don't address the root cause inside your heart and mind, you'll find yourself slipping back into old patterns sooner or later. This is why some folks seem to be on a spiritual roller coaster. They have moments of victory, but then they fall right back into defeat. They're focusing all their energy on changing their circumstances without realizing that true, lasting change starts from within. Satan loves it when we're stuck in this cycle. He knows that as long as we're focusing on external fixes, we're not tapping into the real power that could set us free. But when we start to understand the importance of inner transformation, that's when we become a real threat to his plans. So, what's this truth that Satan fears so much? It's simple, yet profound. You have the power to shape your spiritual reality by changing what's inside you. Your thoughts, beliefs, and the condition of your heart have a direct impact on your spiritual life. This isn't some kind of mystical mumbo-jumbo. It's a practical, powerful principle that you can start applying right now. When you begin to guard your heart, renew your mind, and cultivate a strong inner life, you'll start to see changes in your outer world too. Think of it like planting a garden. You can't just wish for beautiful flowers to appear. You have to prepare the soil, plant the seeds, water them, and nurture them as they grow. In the same way, if you want to see positive changes in your spiritual life, you need to cultivate the right conditions in your heart and mind. This is why Satan trembles when he sees people who understand this truth. He knows that once you start focusing on your inner world, you become much harder to manipulate or defeat. You're no longer at the mercy of your circumstances or your emotions. Instead, you're actively shaping your spiritual reality from the inside out. Here's another aspect of this truth that makes Satan nervous. You have the power to choose what you focus on and believe. This might seem obvious, but it's incredibly powerful when you really grasp it. Every day, we're bombarded with negative messages, discouraging news, and reasons to be afraid or doubtful. Satan loves this because if he can keep us focused on the negative, he can keep us weak and ineffective. But when we understand the power of our choices, we can decide to focus on what's good, true, and powerful instead. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to see things from God's perspective rather than getting bogged down in pessimism or fear. When we make this choice consistently, it changes us from the inside out. One of the ways Satan tries to keep us bound is by keeping us chained to our past. He wants us to believe that because of our mistakes, our background, or our weaknesses, we can never really change or be used by God. But that's a lie, and it crumbles in the face of this powerful truth. When we understand that our inner world shapes our spiritual reality, we realize that our past doesn't have to define our future. We can choose to embrace God's forgiveness, let go of old guilt and shame, and start cultivating new thoughts and beliefs that align with God's truth. This is incredibly liberating. It means that no matter what you've done or what's been done to you in the past, you have the power to start fresh. You can begin reshaping your inner world today, and as you do, you'll see your outer world start to change too. Now, it's important to understand that this isn't an overnight process. Just like physical fitness requires consistent effort over time, spiritual transformation is a journey. It takes patience, persistence, and a willingness to keep going even when you don't see results right away. This is actually good news, because it means that anyone can do this. You don't need special talents or abilities. You don't need to have it all figured out from the start. All you need is the willingness to begin and the commitment to keep going. Every day, you have opportunities to reshape your inner world. Every time you choose faith over fear, love over hate, or trust over doubt, you're planting seeds that will grow into powerful changes in your life. And with each step you take on this journey, you become more and more the kind of person that Satan fears, someone who understands and lives out the truth of inner transformation. Here's something else to consider: when you start living out this truth, it doesn't just affect you. It has a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. As you change from the inside out, people will notice. They'll see the difference in how you handle challenges, how you treat others, and how you approach life. This is another reason why Satan fears people who understand this principle. He knows that one transformed life can impact many others. Your journey of inner change can inspire and encourage others to start their own journeys. Before long, what started with one person can spread to families, communities, and even nations. Think about some of the great spiritual leaders throughout history. What made them so influential wasn't just what they did, but who they were on the inside. Their inner transformation led to outer actions that changed the world. And guess what? You have that same potential within you. So, how do we actually put this principle into practice? It starts with small, consistent steps. Here are a few practical ways you can begin reshaping your inner world. Mind your thoughts, pay attention to what you're thinking about throughout the day. When you catch yourself dwelling on negative or unhelpful thoughts, consciously choose to redirect your mind to something positive and true. Just like your body needs good food, your spirit needs nourishment. Spend time reading uplifting books, listening to encouraging messages, and meditating on spiritual truths. Practice gratitude. Regularly take time to reflect on the good things in your life, no matter how small. Gratitude has a powerful effect on our inner world. Surround yourself with positivity. Be intentional about the people you spend time with and the media you consume. Choose influences that build you up rather than tear you down. Serve others. Paradoxically, one of the best ways to change yourself is to focus on helping others. Look for ways to serve and bless the people around you. Pray and meditate. Take time each day to quiet your mind, connect with God, and reflect on His truths. This helps align your inner world with spiritual realities. Speak life. Pay attention to the words you say, both to yourself and others. Choose to speak words of faith, hope, and encouragement. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Every small step you take to reshape your inner world is a victory. Over time, these small victories add up to major transformation. Now, let's be real, this journey isn't always easy. You'll face obstacles along the way. Sometimes, old habits and thought patterns will try to reassert themselves. You might have days where you feel like you're not making any progress. This is normal, and it's exactly why Satan hopes you'll give up. But here's the truth: every obstacle you face is an opportunity to grow stronger. When you push through the tough times, when you choose to keep believing and working on your inner world even when you don't feel like it, that's when real growth happens. Think of it like working out. The moments when your muscles are straining and you want to quit are the moments when you're building strength. In the same way, the challenges you face in your spiritual journey are opportunities to build inner strength and resilience. The key is to not get discouraged by setbacks. Instead, view them as part of the process. Learn from them, adjust your approach if needed, but keep moving forward. Remember, the enemy wants you to give up. Your persistence in the face of challenges is itself a powerful act of transformation. While the journey of inner transformation is personal, it doesn't mean you have to go it alone. In fact, connecting with others who are on the same path can be incredibly powerful. When you surround yourself with people who understand and support your journey, you create an environment where growth can flourish. This is why being part of a spiritual community is so important. Whether it's a church, a small group, or just a few close friends who share your values, having people around you who encourage your growth and hold you accountable can make a huge difference. In community, you can share your struggles and victories. You can learn from others who are further along in their journey. You can find support when you're facing challenges. And importantly, you can be an encouragement to others, which itself is a powerful tool for inner growth. Satan knows the power of united believers. That's why he often tries to isolate us or create division. But when we come together, supporting each other in our journeys of transformation, we become an unstoppable force. Our exploration of this powerful truth, it's important to step back and look at the bigger picture. Why does all of this matter? Why is Satan so afraid of people who understand and live out this principle of inner transformation? It's because he knows that transformed individuals can change the world. Throughout history, we've seen how people who underwent profound inner change went on to impact their societies in massive ways. Think about figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, or even the early apostles. Their inner transformation led to actions that reshaped the course of history. But here's the amazing thing, you don't have to be a famous historical figure to make a difference. Every person who commits to this journey of inner transformation becomes a force for good in the world. Your changed life can impact your family, your workplace, your community, and beyond in ways you might never fully realize. This is the ultimate reason why Satan fears people who understand this truth. He knows that a world full of individuals who are continually growing, transforming, and aligning themselves with God's purposes is a world where his influence diminishes. Every person who embarks on this journey of inner transformation is a threat to the darkness and a beacon of light to others. So, as you move forward from here, remember the power you hold within you. You have the ability to reshape your inner world, and in doing so, to impact the world around you. It won't always be easy, and it won't happen overnight, but it is possible. And it's a journey that's absolutely worth taking. Every step you take towards inner transformation is a victory. Every choice to align your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with truth is a blow against the enemy's plans. You are more powerful than you realize, simply because you now understand this fundamental truth. Change starts from within. So, what will you do with this knowledge? How will you begin reshaping your inner world today? The choice is yours, and that choice has the power to change everything. Remember, the people Satan fears the most are not those with special powers or positions, but ordinary people like you who understand and live out this transformative truth. You can be one of those people. In fact, you already are, simply by choosing to embark on this journey. Now that we understand the power of inner transformation, let's dive into the first key that makes us truly formidable against Satan's schemes, our relationship with God. This is the bedrock of spiritual strength, and it's something the enemy desperately wants to undermine. Think about it. Who would you rather face in a battle? Someone who's all alone, or someone who's backed up by the most powerful ally in the universe? That's why Satan works so hard to disrupt our connection with God. He knows that when we're closely connected to our Creator, we become a force to be reckoned with. But here's the beautiful truth: building a strong relationship with God isn't about being perfect. It's not about following a set of rigid rules or performing religious rituals. It's about staying close to God, especially when life gets tough. It's about cultivating a genuine, heartfelt connection with the one who made you and loves you more than you can imagine. So how do we build this kind of relationship? It starts with simple, daily choices. Spending time in prayer, not as a duty, but as a conversation with a loving Father. Reading and meditating on God's Word, not just to gain knowledge, but to hear His heart for you. Worshipping, not just with songs, but with a lifestyle that honors God. God isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for persistence. He wants us to keep coming back to Him, even when we mess up. Especially when we mess up. This consistency in seeking God, regardless of our circumstances or feelings, is what builds a rock-solid relationship that Satan can't easily shake. When we prioritize our relationship with God, something amazing happens. We start to see life from His perspective. Our problems don't necessarily disappear, but they start to look different. We begin to understand that we're not facing our battles alone. We have the Creator of the universe on our side. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It's like putting on a pair of spiritual glasses that help us see clearly. Suddenly, the lies that Satan whispers don't sound so convincing anymore. The fears that used to paralyze us don't seem so overwhelming. We start to walk with a confidence that comes from knowing who we are, not just who we are. But here's a crucial point: this kind of relationship takes time to develop. Just like any close friendship, it grows deeper with shared experiences and consistent communication. There will be seasons when you feel incredibly close to God, and others when He might seem distant. The key is to keep showing up, keep talking to Him, and keep listening to His voice. And here's something that Satan really hates: the more we cultivate this relationship, the more we start to reflect God's character in our daily lives. We become more loving, more patient, more kind. We start to see others the way God sees them. This transformation isn't just good for us, it's a powerful witness to the world around us. So if you want to become someone that Satan truly fears, start by focusing on your relationship with God. Make it a priority. Guard it fiercely. Nurture it daily. Because when you're walking closely with God, you become a formidable force in the spiritual realm. Now, let's talk about the second key that makes us a threat to the enemy's plans: persistence in faith. This is where the rubber meets the road in our spiritual journey. It's easy to believe when everything is going well, but what happens when life gets tough? That's when our faith is truly tested, and that's also when it has the power to grow the strongest. Satan absolutely hates it when we keep believing, even when we can't see results yet. Why? Because he knows that faith is like a muscle, it grows stronger when it's challenged. Every time we choose to trust God in the face of difficulty, doubt, or delay, we're building spiritual strength that will serve us well in future battles. Think about it this way: your faith today is shaping your spiritual reality tomorrow. When you choose to believe God's promises, even when your circumstances are screaming the opposite, you're actually participating in creating your future. You're aligning yourself with God's truth rather than the temporary reality you can see with your physical eyes. This kind of persistent faith isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging the challenges you face while still choosing to trust in God's goodness and His plan for your life. It's about holding on to hope when everything seems hopeless. Here's a powerful truth: delayed manifestation doesn't mean denied manifestation. Just because you can't see the results of your faith right now doesn't mean God isn't working. In fact, some of the most powerful answers to prayer come after long periods of seeming silence. This is why persistence is so crucial. Satan wants you to give up when you don't see immediate results. He wants you to doubt God's goodness, to question His promises. But when you persist in faith, you're essentially telling the enemy, "Nice try, but I'm not backing down. I know who I believe in, and I'm sticking with Him no matter what." This kind of unwavering faith is incredibly powerful. It's the kind of faith that moves mountains, that opens doors that seem permanently closed, that brings light into the darkest situations. It's the faith that keeps going when everything and everyone else says to quit. But let's be real, maintaining this kind of persistent faith isn't always easy. There will be times when you feel like giving up. Times when your prayers seem to bounce off the ceiling. Times when you wonder if God has forgotten about you. These moments are normal, and even the greatest heroes of faith experience them. The key is to remember that your feelings don't define your faith. Faith is a choice, a decision to trust God regardless of how you feel or what you see. It's in these challenging moments that your faith has the potential to grow the strongest. So how do we cultivate this kind of persistent faith? It starts with grounding ourselves in God's Word. The more we fill our minds with God's promises, the easier it becomes to hold onto them when times get tough. It also involves surrounding ourselves with other believers who can encourage us and remind us of the truth when we're struggling. Another powerful practice is to keep a record of God's faithfulness in your life. Write down the times when God has come through for you in the past. When you're facing a difficult situation and your faith is wavering, look back at these reminders of God's faithfulness. They can provide the boost you need to keep believing. Every time you choose faith over fear, trust over doubt, you're becoming stronger spiritually. You're developing a resilience that will serve you well in all areas of life. And you're becoming the kind of person that Satan truly fears, someone who refuses to give up, no matter what. As we move to our third key, we're going to talk about something that might seem simple at first, but has incredible power to transform your spiritual life, focusing on the positive. This isn't just about being an optimist, it's about intentionally choosing to concentrate on God's goodness, even in the midst of challenges. When we focus on God's goodness instead of our problems, something remarkable happens. We become stronger, more resilient, and more effective in our spiritual lives. It's like we're tapping into a source of power that Satan doesn't want us to discover. You see, the enemy loves it when we're consumed by our problems. When we're constantly worrying, complaining, or feeling overwhelmed, we're not operating in our full spiritual potential. We're easier to discourage and defeat. But when we shift our focus to God's goodness, we access a strength that can carry us through even the toughest times. This doesn't mean ignoring our problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where we place the majority of our mental and emotional energy. Are we dwelling on our difficulties, or are we intentionally looking for evidence of God's love and faithfulness in our lives? One powerful way to put this into practice is through gratitude. When we cultivate a habit of thankfulness, we train our minds to notice the good things in our lives, no matter how small they might seem. This shift in perspective can be truly transformative. Think about it, even on your worst day, there are still things to be grateful for. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the people who care about you. When we take time to acknowledge these blessings, we're essentially telling Satan, your attempts to discourage me won't work. I see God's goodness all around me. Gratitude also has a way of putting our problems in perspective. When we focus on what we're thankful for, our challenges often start to seem more manageable. We begin to see them as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable obstacles. But here's where it gets really powerful. Gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It actually changes the way our brains work. Studies have shown that regularly practicing gratitude can rewire our neural pathways, making us more resilient to stress and negative emotions. In other words, when we choose to focus on the positive, we're literally transforming our minds. This lines up perfectly with what the Bible teaches. In Philippians 4 verse 8, we're instructed to think about things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. This isn't just good advice, it's a strategy for spiritual strength and victory. When we fill our minds with these positive things, we're creating an environment where faith can flourish and fear can't take root. We're building a foundation of joy and peace that can withstand the storms of life. And we're becoming the kind of people that Satan truly fears, those who can't be easily shaken because their focus is on God's goodness rather than their own circumstances. So how do we put this into practice? Start by setting aside time each day to intentionally focus on the positive. You could keep a gratitude journal, listing 3 things you're thankful for each day. Or you could make it a habit to praise God for His goodness before bringing your requests to Him in prayer. Another powerful practice is to intentionally look for evidence of God's work in your daily life. It might be a beautiful sunset, an unexpected encouragement from a friend, or a small answer to prayer. When you notice these things, take a moment to thank God for them. This habit of spotting God can dramatically shift your perspective over time. Focusing on the positive isn't about denying reality or ignoring problems. It's about choosing to see your life through the lens of God's goodness and faithfulness. It's about training your mind to notice and appreciate the blessings that are all around you, even in difficult times. As you cultivate this habit of focusing on the positive, you'll likely notice some changes. You might find that you're more resilient in the face of challenges. You might experience more peace and joy, even when circumstances aren't ideal. And you might find that your faith grows stronger as you constantly remind yourself of God's goodness. This focus on the positive is a powerful weapon in your spiritual arsenal. It's a practice that can sustain you through tough times and help you thrive in good times. And it's something that Satan absolutely doesn't want you to master because he knows how transformative it can be. So, as you go through your day, remember to intentionally focus on the positive. Look for reasons to be grateful. Celebrate God's goodness in your life, no matter how small it might seem. As you do, you'll be building a foundation of joy and strength that will serve you well in your spiritual journey. Now, let's dive into our fourth key, which is all about breaking negative cycles. This is a crucial aspect of spiritual growth that Satan desperately wants to keep hidden from us. Why? Because when we learn to break these cycles, we become a real threat to his plans. Many people find themselves stuck in cycles of doubt, fear, and negative thinking. It's like being on a spiritual treadmill, lots of effort, but no real progress. These cycles can manifest in various ways: recurring sins, persistent doubts, or habitual negative thoughts. Satan loves it when we're trapped in these loops because it keeps us from reaching our full spiritual potential. But here's the good news: we have the power to break these cycles. It starts with recognizing them for what they are: patterns that have developed over time, often rooted in lies we've believed about ourselves, others, or God. Once we identify these patterns, we can begin the process of breaking free. The first step in breaking negative cycles is awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts and behaviors. Are there patterns that keep repeating? Do you find yourself falling into the same traps over and over? This self-awareness is crucial because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Next, we need to challenge the lies that fuel these cycles. Every negative pattern is built on a foundation of false beliefs. Maybe you believe you're not good enough, or that God doesn't really care about you, or that you'll never overcome a certain struggle. These lies need to be confronted with the truth. This is where the power of God's word comes in. The Bible tells us that the truth will set us free, and this is especially true when it comes to breaking negative cycles. Find scriptures that directly counter the lies you've believed. Memorize them, meditate on them, speak them out loud. Let God's truth become louder than the enemy's lies. Another powerful tool in breaking negative cycles is renewing your mind. This isn't just positive thinking, it's actively choosing to align your thoughts with God's truth. Romans 12 verse 2 talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is a daily, intentional process of replacing old, negative thought patterns with new, truth-filled ones. It's also important to recognize that breaking negative cycles often requires support. We weren't meant to fight these battles alone. Find trusted friends, mentors, or counselors who can provide encouragement, accountability, and prayer support. Sometimes, just knowing you're not alone in your struggle can give you the strength to keep pushing forward. Breaking negative cycles is a process. It won't happen overnight, and there may be setbacks along the way. But each time you choose truth over lies, each time you resist falling back into old patterns, you're getting stronger. You're rewiring your brain and your spirit, creating new pathways of faith and freedom. As you work on breaking these cycles, you'll likely notice some changes. You might find that you're more resistant to temptation. You might experience more peace and joy in your daily life. You might even see breakthroughs in areas where you've been stuck for a long time. This process of breaking negative cycles is something that Satan truly fears. He knows that when we learn to recognize and break free from these patterns, we become much more effective in our spiritual lives. We're no longer easy targets for his lies and deceptions. So, don't underestimate the power of breaking negative cycles. It's not always easy, but it's incredibly worthwhile. As you persist in this process, you're becoming the kind of person that Satan fears, someone who isn't bound by old patterns, but is free to walk in the fullness of what God has for them. Now that we've explored these four powerful keys, let's talk about how to put them into practice in your daily life. Remember, knowledge is only powerful when it's applied. So let's look at some practical steps you can take to become the kind of person Satan truly fears. First, make your relationship with God a top priority. Set aside dedicated time each day for prayer and Bible study. But don't just treat it as a duty, approach it as a conversation with a loving Father. Share your heart with him, listen for his voice, and let his word shape your thoughts and actions. Next, work on developing persistent faith. Start a faith journal where you record God's promises and how he's fulfilled them in your life. When you face challenges, refer back to this journal to remind yourself of God's faithfulness. Practice speaking words of faith, even when your circumstances seem bleak. To focus on the positive, start a daily gratitude practice. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be big things, even small blessings count. As you do this consistently, you'll train your mind to notice the good in your life. When it comes to breaking negative cycles, start by identifying one recurring negative thought or behavior you want to change. Find a scripture that counters this negative pattern and memorize it. Whenever you catch yourself slipping into the old pattern, recite this scripture and consciously choose to believe God's truth over the lie. These practices are most effective when they're consistent. It's better to spend 10 minutes a day on these things than to have occasional long sessions. The goal is to weave these practices into the fabric of your daily life. Also, don't try to tackle everything at once. Start with 1 or 2 practices and gradually add more as they become habits. This approach is more sustainable and allows for real, lasting change. Lastly, be patient with yourself. Spiritual growth is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, victories and setbacks. The key is to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Our exploration of the people that Satan fears the most, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible journey we've embarked upon. We've uncovered powerful truths that have the potential to transform not just our spiritual lives, but every aspect of our existence. We've learned that the people Satan fears most aren't those with special powers or positions, but ordinary individuals like you and me who understand and apply these fundamental spiritual principles. We've discovered the power of inner transformation, the importance of a strong relationship with God, the strength that comes from persistent faith, the transformative effect of focusing on the positive, and the freedom found in breaking negative cycles. But here's the most important thing to remember: this knowledge isn't meant to stay on the pages of this script or in the realm of theory. It's meant to be lived out day by day, moment by moment. You have within you the potential to become someone that makes the forces of darkness tremble, not because of your own strength, but because of the incredible power of God working through you. As you move forward from here, I encourage you to take these truths to heart. Start implementing the practical steps we've discussed. Be patient with yourself, but also be persistent. Remember that every small step you take in applying these principles is a victory. You might not see dramatic changes overnight, but as you consistently align yourself with these truths, you'll begin to notice a difference. You'll find yourself standing stronger in the face of challenges. You'll experience more peace and joy, even in difficult circumstances. You'll see breakthroughs in areas where you've been stuck. And here's something amazing to consider: as you grow and transform, you become a light to others. Your changed life will inspire and encourage those around you. In this way, the impact of your spiritual growth extends far beyond your own life, creating ripples of positive change in your family, your community, and even the world. So, embrace the spiritual power that's available to you. Don't let fear, doubt, or past failures hold you back. You are more than capable of becoming the kind of person that Satan fears, someone who is deeply rooted in God's love, unwavering in faith, focused on the positive, and free from negative cycles. You're not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way, and He's given you everything you need to succeed. Trust in His power, lean on His strength, and watch as He works in and through you in ways you never thought possible. I want to leave you with this powerful truth: you are loved, you are valuable, and you have a unique purpose in this world. Embrace who God has created you to be, and step confidently into the incredible journey that lies ahead. The world needs the light that you carry. So shine bright, stand strong, and become the person that not only Satan fears, but that God has always intended you to be. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of spiritual truth. May these principles take root in your heart and transform your life in powerful ways. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So take that step today, and watch as God unfolds an incredible adventure before you. Here's to your spiritual growth and the amazing impact you're about to make in this world.